Hi, I'm Shoshana Landis-Grieve, and my topic is sexually inactive marriages. Now, we know from our studies in class that marriage is God-ordained, and sex is saved for that marriage. But what happens when sex is no longer a part of a marriage? It could be a physical reason, such as like an illness or an accident that causes a person to not be able to have sex. Johnny Erickson Tata, as a lot of people know, is she might be able to have sexual relations per se, but she cannot produce a child, and she cannot feel the sexual interactions with herself and her husband because she's a quadriplegic. That's an example. Or it could be a mental disorder or a sexual proclivity towards something like pornography, for example. But whatever the reasons, the two people in the marriage have not come together as sexual partners. In the journal that I'm citing, for example, it says that those who were religious, and I thought this was interesting, have higher coital frequency. I thought that was pretty interesting. They also have a role. Their roles are defined. That was interesting as well. But marriages where both partners were unhappy and threatened to leave, they have lower coital frequency. And there's other things within the marriage that they can have issues, like if they don't have children at home, if there's, it's not just stress either that maybe takes its toll on not just the marriage, but the sexual portion of the marriage. It's also the significant differences that existed between both the males and the females, so there's probably like a gender difference too. But there's, of course, relationship violence. There's poor health associated with them. There's unhappiness reported. There's the correlation of increased age, fewer children, lack of shared activity. I thought that was pretty interesting. So it's not just about the sexual activity, it's also where it overlaps into the boundaries of the marriage. So it's quite interesting that our studies have been based on sexual activity within marriage, but it's not just about, of course, as we all know, sex within marriage. It's the whole tamale, so to speak. It's the whole thing of the whole marriage, the whole part of it. It's how we interact with one another within the bounds of marriage. Including sex. It overlaps within all of it. It's not just about one piece of it. It's the whole thing, but it's how it affects it. And I'm wondering, do you think that, I'm interested in your comments too, do you think that sex plays a part in the other areas of the marriage, or do you think that just marriage, the other parts of the marriage leak into the sex? Or is it it's not just vice versa. Do they interact with one another? I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because this is the gray areas for me. I'm just wondering, why else would people abstain from sex in marriage besides, as we know, fasting and things like that? I mean, there's really no reason besides what I cited in fasting, to abstain from sex and marriage. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say, because I want to explore this topic. It's interesting, and I've known people who have abstained from sex and marriage, and I'm just wondering, how do we get over that? How do we get past this? And what are the answers? And how do we move forward? And can you have a good marriage without sex in it? Thanks so much for listening, and I welcome your comments. Thanks for being in class with me. Take care. Bye-bye.